This is a great image of a respectable, classy, beautiful woman.
For you to point out this well-dressed sister here to make me feel some type of way about myself becomes a problem.
Let me get you.
Reason I have never said I do is because I don't.
I've been married, and I couldn't sign up for bad sex.
Let's drive.
So if we enter a relationship with anything that's about me, then I don't believe that we're ready.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are right here, single on a Saturday night, TGI Fridays, 4000 City Ave, and it may look a little different today. Smitty, you paying attention? Since we on the opposite side, I need you to look at me. I need to know you paying attention since I gotta be over here, but it's okay. Anyway, this is Single on a Saturday Night. I'm Shelly Williams, but we're gonna let the men take over. How about we introduce ourselves? We can give ourselves that, can't we?
Of course, we can give ourselves whatever we want.
Okay, let's give ourselves that. Come on, introduce yourself.
I'm Danielle Patterson, Esquire. I'm an attorney. I used to sit up on the panel, but now, you know, we sitting here looking at them and seeing whether or not they actually have anything, you know, of interest and intrigue to add to the conversation.
Well, I am Alicia, and I'm looking forward to seeing what all y'all gentlemen have to say to us today. It better be interesting.
I'm Shelly Williams.
Better be.
And listen, hashtag Philly's Oprah. I think you have something to say. Whether I want to hear it or not, I don't know. But I am going to pay attention and let you take over, because today is shh, just listen, the men are talking. So go ahead, take over, men.
Shout out to my brothers on the panel. Much love today. This is Single on Saturday Night. Ask the man anything. When we advertised the show, one of the first things or questions that was posted was, what is the most dangerous food to a man? Does anybody know? What I'm gonna tell y'all today. The most dangerous food to a man.
Know what I thought in my head.
I immediately started with a V for me.
A wedding cake. Now, let me explain that. Let me explain that concept of why a wedding cake is dangerous for a man. I'm gonna let my brothers on the panel. That if a guy, now fellas, roll with me on this one. If a man walks into the barbershop to his friends to say, hey, I'm getting married, what are the responses they getting? Oh man, you getting married. Another good man down. Turn your player card in. Your freedom is over. It's you, the wife, the dog, and the kid. Oh, it's over, man. And then you hear that concept of, man, we lost another good brother, Roberto. Because for most men, we will not speak for all, for most men, it's the end. For most women, it's the beginning of something. And for us, it's about losing our freedom. So understand there are certain concepts we're going to give y'all today. We're going to be at questions today. And one other thing before we get into introducing the panel is that I want to put out there. A lot of times, ladies, y'all do not ask the right questions of us. If you want, now take where your notebooks at. Now drop this down.
Professor.
If a man approaches you, get out his car, want to talk in the supermarket, and they come with his game and his spill, he's pulling his pants and got his hands moving and talking to you, there is one important question that will help you eliminate, I'm going to say it again, eliminate the wannabes, the bums, and the guys that ain't worth nothing to you. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. You want to hear it? Yeah. Do y'all want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. If a guy comes to you, give him his chance to kick his game and his spill. You look at him, and you let him say everything that he wants, because he's confident, because he approached you. You look at him and you say, what is it about you that will make me want to have you in my life? I'm going to repeat that. Any man that walks up to you, that's interested in you, you look at him and let him get all of it out of his system and say, what is it about you that will make me want to have you in my life? If he gives you this response, hey, sis, why you come at me like that? He's out. He's out. If he says, I can show you better than I can tell you, he is what? Out. What you want him to do is tell you clearly who he is as a man. I will take care of you. I'm considerate. I'm affectionate. I will support you in your dreams and your endeavors. You want him to tell you everything about himself. But once he says it, here's the last thing you need to say once he's done. I'm going to hold you accountable to that. If you do that, ladies, he has to honor that, or what he's going to do is he's going to bail out completely because he can't do what he said he was going to do. So if you never heard nothing that sound good to you today, ask that question. And always follow up with, I'm going to hold you accountable to that. All right, let me introduce my brothers on the show. Tell them who you are, brother.
My name is Alexander Cole. I'm pastor, author, and entrepreneur. I want to thank you for having me on the show today. I'm Dr. David Pulley, the soulmate specialist and owner of Diamonds in the Rough Consulting. And I just have to say, I hope y'all really were taking notes, because that right there was gold. That was a diamond in the rough. Real talk. What he just dropped right there, that's just solid. So I'll be representing more of the spiritual angle from the man's perspective, because unlike the wedding cake thing, I represent the small group of guys who actually desire the wedding cake, who actually are seeking the wedding cake. But I, like I teach, I chose to only get in front of the altar and only stand at that altar with the woman that God told me directly that she's the one that he has for me. So I represent that angle.
And I'm just Roberto. I don't like chocolate cake, so we're going to do this. Yes. Yes. All right.
Okay.
And I'm leading the discussion with the men. I'm David Scott. I'm a college professor at Harcum College, also the director of family-based therapy for NHS. And I want to jump into the questions so we can get started. And I believe our first question is coming from over here from Tanya. Can we make sure Tanya has the microphone?
Hello, how are you? I would like to ask, once you're in a relationship and you're comfortable in that relationship, there are some things that you're willing to accept from your counterpart. Can you name something that you're not willing to accept and that you're expecting in that relationship?
That's a great question. Expectations and standards. That's one of the things that I teach in terms of having people make sure that they understand that there is a difference. Standards, even making sure that someone assesses their standards, is very important, because some people have a standard like a lot of men have a standard of, oh, she has to have a big butt, or she has to have big breasts, because a lot of men are physically focused or visually focused, but that's not a standard. A standard should be something that's more about core values. So when somebody calls something that's more physical and surface level a standard, that's not really a standard. That's something that should be adjusted. And then there's your expectations should be based on your standards. So for me, if a woman is coming in and she doesn't meet my standards and my expectations that are based on those standards, then it's a deal breaker. So one of the main things for me is spirituality. She has to be rooted, she has to be a Christian, she has to be a believer, and she has to know a bit about the word, because otherwise we're going to be too unequally yoked. She has to be of sound mind, and her mind should be stabilized. I mean, we all have issues. Every single person has issues. That's why I recommend therapy for really everybody. But she should be of sound mind and emotionally stable. That's a very important one, because a lot of women struggle with their emotions, and they tend to be fleeting, and they tend to be easily attacked by life. And so those things are things that I focus on and look at when I'm dating.
Well, Tanya, I'm pretty flexible in that I know you're just a human being, so there's things that I can accept. But then one of the things for me would be how we communicate. You know, so if you're speaking to me a certain type of way, I'm going to ask you not to, because I'm going to explain to you how that makes me feel. And then once I feel like you understand how I feel when you talk to me that way, there should be some actions taken to correct that. And then that's how the rest of that relationship will go.
Thank you.
We got to make sure that a man will tell you exactly what he wants. Just pay attention, listen, and hear. Believe our next question, too, is coming now.
Well, we're going to go to that next question when we go from break. Thank you to everybody who helps us put the show together. I'm talking about Howard Gilliam Jr. of NewVideoProductions.com. You can see his show on My Special Day TV on Comcast and Verizon. And, of course, AlvinaStyles.com. That's for the jewelry. And my hair. Rashina Stewart of Exquisite Hair Design. The men are talking. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to check out DJ Smooth.
It's your girl, Shelly Show, not your average girl. Hey everybody, it's Shelly Show Williams, Philly's Oprah right here. Exquisite Hair Design with Rashina Stewart. We're finally getting a new install. I'm so excited. What do you recommend as far as how long you should keep your hair in? Especially when it still looks good, because you got the skills like that.
I guarantee when I do an install that it'll last 8 to 10 weeks. 3 months is like the max. I wouldn't say you should push it past that.
Wow, so we're on the second one, and with a reinstall, that means we're using the same hair and starting over with a new install. I like it. Like I said, this is 100% virgin Indian hair. Virgin Indian hair. It looks good. It still feels good. So, how can I get in touch with you?
Okay, I'm at Exquisite Hair Design from Tuesday through Saturday.
That's Exquisite with an X. All right, we're gonna catch you out in a little bit when it's all done, but right now I'm getting ready. I'm gonna take the glasses off because I think that might make it easier for you. Exquisite Hair Design, Rashina Stewart. Don't forget to get the app. Harry Situation, get the app.
Definitely get the app.
Get the app. It's your girl, Shelly Show, not your average girl.
Single on Saturday. We back with Ask the Man Anything. Questions been rolling. The panel was ready to go. We want to head on.
We got a question. We trying to let you take it, but we got a question over here.
I know, right?
Y'all really got a question?
Yeah, we have a question.
But we going to get y'all questions.
No, we're going first. Next. We're going first. We can't stay quiet for too long. It's killing us.
We not letting them go panel. We heading right over here to get our questions. Then we will work our way back over to the gorgeous ladies up front. Do you have a question? Give it to us. Your name?
Yes, hi. My name is Kia Moody, and my question is, when do you know when the person that you're dating is ready for the next step?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Anybody want? Okay,
ooh, that's a good question.
Like David said, you'll know when a guy is ready because he'll start asking questions towards that end. He'll start bringing up the topic of at least long-term situations. He'll start looking towards the future in his conversation. That's when you know that the man is starting to think about it. He's starting to talk to his boys about it because he is asking and bringing up topics that include long-term situation and conversation. So that's a good indicator.
There's only one married person up there. I need to ask Alice Cole.
Well, we're going to bring that to Alex,
I'm just saying, he's the only one married.
Some of the things might be if he might just slide in. How would you feel if you were living here with me? Is a question he might say. Or, you know, I've just been talking to my friends about you. You're like, what were you saying? Well, I'll talk to you about that later on. We always contemplate our role involvement with a woman. We always think in futuristic, one, if I want to maintain this or if I want to let it go. The thing that women need to understand too when you're involved with somebody is you have to know, does he view me as an investment or somebody I will just mess with? And that's what I want you to understand. And ladies, y'all have to know, does that man view me as investment or somebody he's just messing with? Talk.
Well, thanks for my turn here. I want to tell you something about the dating process. We all need to know that when we're dating, you use that as an interviewing tool. It's not a question of how do you know if they're ready to make the next step. You need to present yourself in such a way that your presence alone presents him, and it requires him to show what the next step is. All of us here need two things to survive in a love relationship. It's security and significance. Security meaning it's a need to be needed and a need to be loved by another individual. And significance. We each have to have our own sense of self-worth and value. If your value precedes you, it will require of him to make the next steps, and vice versa with a man. When they bring their value to the table, you know it from day one. You know it from the time they step on the door, or they knock on your door, or they call on the phone. Their value will precede them.
Part two.
Oh, part two, okay.
Part two. Would y'all rather us present it or for you to give it to us when you're ready for the next step?
I'm just going to say.
Or do you need me to clarify that?
No, you don't need to clarify that at all.
Like do you want an ultimatum?
As though, no, as though we say, like, what's the next step or where we're going? Or do you want y'all to be the ones that tell us?
Like, why can't you ask? Like, I think that it should be an evaluation every month. Like, okay, it's been 30 days. What's going on?
I agree.
It's been, the next 30 days where we at. So,
Right.
so
I
6
agree.
months won't go by, and then I'm asking you where we at.
That's why we don't listen to the men. We take over.
We agree with you. It should be an evaluation period. I think every marriage should be evaluated every couple years to see if it's worth moving forward. Are we on the same? Are we evenly yoked like Dave talked about? But just to answer your question, Kia, briefly, is that if you are a Christian individual, it says a man picketh a wife. So we want to lead in that direction. We didn't say you can't guide us. Be smart about it. You can guide us, but we want to make it feel as though we the ones who selected you, not you selecting us. We want to go. We want that. Y'all can guide us. We want to go to Felicia's question before we get over here to the razzle and the hype bunch over here.
Hello, my name is Felicia, and by the way, y'all look very nice.
Thank you, thank you.
What does it take for a man to be submissive to a woman?
First of all, submission.
Submissive?
You're dealing with the subject of compromise. When you are compromising, it is supposed to be a mutual settlement.
Yes.
Some type of meeting in the middle and agreeing. Submissiveness comes on both points. I'll give you an example. When I met my wife, a few moments after meeting her, I could talk to her and have a few conversations. It only took 5 minutes of that conversation to know that's what I've been looking for all my life. Now I'm going to fast forward, then I'm going to rewind and work my way back through. Is that okay?
Okay.
I believe I'm a successful man in the mere fact that I've learned how to make sure she sleeps with a smile on her face every night. Now I'm going to rewind.
Okay. Yes. That's good. That's my brother. Good.
Now I'm going to rewind. Submissiveness, and little did I know when I met her, she had a checklist of 15 things that she expected in a person. 25?
She cut it down.
Oh, okay.
I had a checklist of only about 8 things. And I said 8 being the number of new beginnings.
Ooh.
I had a checklist of about 8.
Preacher.
Well, she met 7 from the door. I scored 85% with her, so it was on. Now, when you know that you've met the person that is going to be your wife, and I have to just disagree with my brother here a little bit. I don't think your marriage needs to go to a point where every few years you need to reevaluate it to see if it can go on. You should know before you enter into a life commitment with someone.
Amen. Amen.
It took me 50 years to learn this in a failed marriage.
Okay.
Okay. And I was in that marriage for 18 years. I was in this one for 3. We've accomplished and acquired more in those 3 years than we both have in our former years of being married. She was married for over 20. Now, unless you understand your purpose, you will only invite abuse. And unless the other person that you're interested in being involved with understands their purpose and your purpose, only abuse will result.
Okay.
Coming from that individual.
Okay.
Your purpose must be clearly defined and you must understand it. You'll find that out in my second book, or if we cross that path here today in this forum. You must understand your purpose and it must be clearly defined in the dating purpose, in the dating process, the interviewing process. Without that, someone is going to make more sacrifices in a relationship than the other. And when things don't seem to work out, you're going to start evaluating yourself in reference to that relationship and find that you've been shorted. And from that point, you're going to start going backwards in that relationship.
All right, we got about 1 minute
purpose.
left, 30 seconds left. So, great answer. Did you get something out of that?
Yeah, totally did. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
For real? Like, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, this is Single on a Saturday Night. We're going to go to a break. Thank you to everybody who helped us put the show together. I'm talking about Doc Smitty. We never say hi to you. Doc Smitty, that's a Groove Boy Entertainment. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, Howard Gilliam Jr., my special day is on every Thursday, 1 o'clock on Comcast 66, Verizon 29. And of course, if you want the right hair, you want the right hair weave, somebody to put it in, Rashina Stewart of Exquisite Hair Design. Let's talk about DJ Smooth, because he's looking so smooth right now with that hat on. Smooth. I like your hat, DJ Smooth.
I felt like Cinderella.
I said, that's fiction. I dropped my hat and ran.
The whole veil comes off.
A little bit X-rated.
Happy birthday, Tracy!
Hit the gas and took off.
Right back with Single on Saturday night. Right now, this is the Ask the Man Anything edition. We've had some great questions coming through from the audience. We're going to move it to this side, because the ladies over here are ready to go at it.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are so
we're ready to take the ammunition. We're ready to fire it up. So give us that next question.
Oh, am I next? Okay, so y'all been real nice on the general, and I want to get to the specific based on many of the conversations that we've had on this show throughout our years of filming. You know, we had an after party and we had a pre-show, and, you know, women talk. And one of the biggest issues that I see is the fact that we have a whole generation of Mitches out here. So, and when I'm saying that, y'all know exactly what a Mitch is. Don't you're just laughing, but you know what it is. And you know, we women sit and go, well, you know, it's because women raised them, and we got this fatherless nation, and nobody taught them how to be a man. But for me, bringing it to the specific, what I see constantly as I talk to men generally, not even ones I'm interested in, just men generally, is that they done become like whiny, feely, communicating women. So, I mean, thank you, see, I ain't the only one. You know, so it's like this. So, okay, so you get with a dude, or you're interested in a dude, and basically you dating your girlfriend. Like, I hide from my girlfriends when they got their period. I don't want to be around you when you got yours. And you know, and clearly, like the men and women, their periods ain't syncing up. Like if I'm with my girlfriends here, we can all get it together and avoid each other for 3 days a month. But it just, and I'm seeing that it's getting worse and worse. I'm looking at, like, you know, my nieces and my nephews and how they're relating to the 20-somethings. And I just hear these dudes, and they all run around and they hit the main line. And this is what I told my nieces. This one, you know you got him. As soon as he hits you with, "'cause I'm a man," that means he's not. As soon as he hits you with, "I'm a man," it's because he knows he's not. All those things that you told us that we should ask, you know, what is it about you that should make me want to have you as a part of my life? I would surmise that 99% of the male populace out here could not answer that question 6 months into the relationship. So what do we do to lessen that gap, to change the divide, get some testosterone on these Mitches?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Danielle, as you mentioned before, this was brought up before, and it's funny because just like one of the things that I want to say here, I didn't get a chance to address when you brought that up the last show, because I was ready. And so the opportunity to discuss this from a male's perspective is I'm glad it came back around. So when you mention about a man saying that he's a man automatically means he's not. That is true, but not always. Obviously, there's exceptions to rules. So think about back in slavery times. There were black men walking around with signs saying, I am a man. That wasn't because they weren't men. That was because the white oppression was having them classified as either less than a man or as animals, monkeys, dogs, so on and so forth. So the men that walked around with those signs was not because they were less than men or not because they were trying to prove something that they weren't fully confident in. It's because they were in a society and in a situation that was trying to take their manhood. In that same respect, in relationships in today, especially amongst African Americans, because of the miseducation of many blacks, male and female, the male role is now taken over by many women because they have had to in many situations. But because of that, now when you have men who are confident, who are able to take that role, women cannot move their foot out of that role because they're afraid to trust men in that role. Therefore, there are men who are confident, who are solidly men, but they are having to proclaim their manhood, just like back in the Jim Crow times, because women are not educated as what that role is and what it should look like and whose feet should be in them. So that is sometimes why you hear that statement being made by true men, is because of the miseducation of black relationships in general.
And then you don't want to serve another man's sentence. As hard as it is to release your old relationship and let it go, that the expectation of the next man coming in, don't let him suffer for the other man. You know, a lot of us have been responsible for hurting women. I'll raise my hand as high as heaven is. I have hurt women, and I don't want to be in the position to hurt a woman, and I do not want my other brothers to suffer for what I have done to a woman. I got to be true to myself. Our ego and our ego as a man and our pride is huge. A lot of men are ashamed that they are not at the position they want to be in life to be able to offer you anything. There's a shame. Sometimes
so why
you can
does
talk.
That become my fault?
No.
That becomes the rest of it. So we're women and we're sitting here, and because men have not risen up to do what they needed to do, and women have educated themselves, they have careered themselves, they have financed themselves, they done raised their kids themselves, we done done everything. Now here you come with your I'm a man. Now, and you may be that great man, and you may be that man that I need to submit to. Maybe you're all of those things. You just asked me to ask, what is it about you that should make me want to have you in my life? My question is, when do y'all get about proving it?
That's when I said, when they open their mouth and they say everything they do, you say, I'm gonna hold you accountable to it. Now, if I do nothing about it, if I don't do nothing about it, I wasn't worth your time, I bailed out. But now, when I leave you know what I'm saying to myself? Dang, I gotta prove it. I gotta make sure that what I told Danielle, I have to follow through on it. That's right. That's the thing about it, where I say, ask us for that accountability. That accountability.
We got some other questions, so I'm going to go to behind me right now because our side has questions. But I have to say this one thing, and I hear you. I hear every man up here, but every man is so different. So all your answers doesn't pertain to the man I'm with. It has nothing to do with the man I'm with. So it might help somebody else, but to me, there's nothing you can tell me because every man is different. This man is none of them. The man I'm with, he does not explain anything the way you do. He's very different. So I can't ask you how this man's gonna act. You can't ask me how she's gonna act. Everybody is different. So great perspective, but
I'm with Danielle
you can't
on all
help
that though. I'm definitely with Danielle on that. Women's lib, do it yourself. That's it. Do it yourself. Get it yourself, do it yourself. Keep women's lib alive.
I think it's even going to the next question. It was something that bothered me that I saw, and we're gonna give her the microphone. I saw.
We're gonna go to the microphone. However, we're gonna take a break because it's the end of the show. So now we got to start all over with the next show, and we're gonna come back on this side, and then we're gonna go to. We have today Alice Cole, Pastor Alice Cole. He is the author of It's a Heart Thing, and he is going to tell us about the book in the next show because we just run out of time because you men talk a lot. Anyway, single on a Saturday night. All right.
It takes 5 seconds for a child to roll into the street. And texting takes 5 seconds of a driver's attention off the road and makes them 23 times more likely to crash. If you text, you could be next.